I mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP? Or, like, we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I struck out 17, and, like, stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher, like, been a part of, like, 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. A couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's fit. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. There's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if Chica is offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right.
Big day. Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time. Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by our friends over at RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and the crew at rmb-builders.com and RMB Builders on Instagram. Good Tuesday morning to you. We got some Brian Kelly sound to get into as Coach Kelly met with the media here on Monday of game week, LSU Bama, as the spread is still moving around. Now bounced down to 3. Bama -3 for the Saturday night showdown between the Tide and the Tigers. We'll talk all about it coming up here on the Culotta Show. We'll be joined by Wilson Alexander at 8:15 this morning. We'll talk to Wilson about his thoughts yesterday, some of the ideas that Coach Kelly was talking about, including his defensive backfield that will be without seemingly Deuce Chestnut and Denver Harris and Zy Alexander going into this game. So you're looking at a ton of newcomers, a ton of new faces, freshmen, first-year players, new guys, and we'll talk about that with Wilson Alexander coming up here for at 8:15 this morning. At 7:45, we'll talk New Orleans Saints. Saints coming off of a nice win against the Indianapolis Colts. New Orleans.football zone. Brooke Kirchhofer will be here at 7:45 in her typical spot. So if you have a Saints question, jump inside of the chat, and we'll get it over to Brooke coming up at 7:45 this morning. And as always, we encourage you, start us off with a thumbs up, with a like button if you don't mind. If you want to get in here and share it, we appreciate that. We always appreciate your comments and interaction as we're live here on our Click Here digital campus inside of our studios. And our phone lines, as always, brought to you by Southern Regional Medical Center.
Feel free to trick or treat us with a super chat.
Lloyd is here. Stewie is here live on this.
We got tricked this morning on Halloween.
Boys.
We had a preset done.
Shortcuts are-
We had a little technical difficulty.
We'll be all right,
We'll battle.
Happy Halloween
Happy Halloween.
to everybody out there.
Spooky day.
Trick or treat.
We got tricked. Duped.
We have been
Bamboozled.
tricked early on here.
Hoodwinked.
Hoodwinked.
We have been tricked early on here. Hopefully Saturday night will be a treat that LSU will have to fight through in the defensive backfield. Look, the news yesterday confirmed by Brian Kelly, not ideal for LSU heading in to Saturday night's game versus Alabama. This is a game that we've talked about with Jalen Milroe, the quarterback, that if you're going to put the ball in a quarterback's hand here and say, go ahead and beat LSU, this would be the guy that you would have to say prove it to. So while the timing is, the story is not ideal, and being without some of your all of your transfer cornerbacks in the offseason is just not good, and there's no way to spin it. But the timing of it from the schedule standpoint, you could argue it's not the worst case scenario. Right? I mean, if this was happening earlier in the season against Ole Miss, and I know you lost the game, or against some of the teams that you played early on, this would be a bigger storyline than I believe it is. Like we said last week, these stories create moments. These stories create opportunities. These stories create situations where players are going to have a chance and step in, and for a first time, for an early portion, for an early start to a career, these are sometimes the games, the situations, and the instances that you can always point back to. In contrast, it could also be something that breaks players, right? Where the stage is too big, and you find out, because the lights will be bright on Saturday night. And this is arguably the biggest game in college football. I know that there are rivals all over the place that would argue that. Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, Alabama. There's rivals all over college football, Florida State, Miami, that would argue that that's the biggest game in college football. As far as the NFL is concerned, I believe this is the biggest game year in, year out, which is kind of like saying, what's Vegas say about the game, right? Like, we can argue who the biggest rivals are and what's the biggest game, but when you look and you really want clarification on something in sports, you usually say, what's Vegas say about it? What are the odds? The measuring stick in college football as far as big games go, I would say, where are the most NFL scouts going? Who serves the most NFL credentials as far as games go? And year in, year out, this is the one that gets the most interest. Why? Because there's more pros on the field than just about any other game in the sport. So while you ideally would love to have Chestnut, Harris, Zy Alexander, and J.K. Johnson, for that matter, live for this game come Saturday night, it creates an opportunity for a young player like an Ashton Stamps, like a Jeremiah Hughes, like a LaTerrence Welsh to step in and see if you're made for this stage. See if you're ready to play in this type of atmosphere. See if you're ready to get on this field. And that's what has been created. That's sports, right? I mean, that's how it works. And so, Brian Kelly yesterday saying that the availability of the cornerbacks, Alexander, Chestnut, Harris, that they're not available. That's the takeaway. But inside the locker room, it has to be an opportunity for somebody to step up. It has to be an opportunity for somebody to understand now is your moment, right? I mean, early in the season when we were asking for the young players to get them out there and play them, it was for situations like this. Because when you looked in the room and you looked at the cornerback room, you had to, man, you're really thin to start off with. So you already have lost J.K. Johnson in the preseason. You're a snap away from being down to a couple of first-year guys. So taking the time early in the season to get them out there, get them repped, get some development, that was with the mindset of, come November, you're probably going to have them. Just because of that's what happens in the SEC. That's what happens in the schedule. You play it, and by November, your team looks a lot different than it did in September. So, I mean, another non-ideal spot for, some of these guys to be making really their first appearances in college football. I know some of them have a lot of reps, but you're talking third and fourth quarter reps against blowout teams, in blowout games. When you're a starter in a game like this, you probably won't even feel your feet hitting the ground for the first quarter and a half. You're walking on clouds out there. So, I mean, it's a huge story, but I think when you look across the line of scrimmage and you see Jalen Milroe, I think Matt House, Brian Kelly, and the crew were probably saying, all right, look, man, if this guy beats us, you go shake his hand at midfield after the game and say, job well done. But until that happens, I say put the ball in his hand and see what happens, no matter how bad your defense is. And LSU has been putrid at times on that side of the ball throughout the year. But with the Alabama offensive line struggles, even a story like Mekhi Wingo yesterday being knocked out, that's a huge story. Missing the rest of the regular season, that's an enormous story. But in the timing of the schedule, I could think of worse things, right? I mean, I think it's manageable. You have the ability to overcome it, especially with the play of a guy like Jordan Jefferson of late. Mason Smith coming on, really looking that he's rounding into form here for the last month of the season. And while, look, yeah, ideally you'd love to have Wingo there, he's just not even an option. So I think that, look, man, yesterday's press conference, while I think you can take some somber away from it, you can, have a mindset of, man, I would spin it the other way and say this creates great opportunity on an enormous stage of football for a lot of football players. At the end of it, it's big. It's a big game. There's a lot of people there. The sidelines are packed. It's a huge environment and atmosphere. But when it's kicked off, all it is football. All it is a game. Same thing these guys been playing since they were 7, 8, 9 years old. I mean, once the game gets going, it's just a football game. And, for some of these young guys, I mean, early on in camp, back in spring, I definitely thought that they would get more chances than they have, but here they go. Biggest stage, Ashton Stamps, you ready? Jeremiah Hughes, you ready? LaTerrence Welsh, you ready?
Taviano,
you ready? I mean, first-year guys, unexperienced guys, but this is the biggest football game you've ever played in your life. I mean, I'd imagine that this is going to create a great opportunity for them. So we'll hear from Brian Kelly. Let's get into it and hear what Kelly had to say. Here he is announcing the availability of his defensive backfield. Stu, are you ready for this? You good on this? This is 5 of Kelly speaking yesterday at his Monday presser.
Rehab of injury.
Deuce is not available. Denver's not available. Zaya's not available. Ashton Stamps will practice today. Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Pretty simple, right? All three of those guys. Alexander's hurt. Chestnut,
Unavailable.
status of him, I think it's speculated he's not with the team anymore. And Denver Harris continues to have setbacks. And while the setbacks, are not huge, they're not with the program. And, I think that it's very unfortunate that it has worked out like this, because both Denver Harris and LSU football need each other, and it's just not worked out here in year one. So here is Kelly talking more about his cornerback room. This is 7, Stewie. Here is Kelly talking about the cornerback room heading into Saturday.
Well, they've been around long enough now. I mean, I think you're into the season now, 8 games. They had some time here in camp and some, we had some mid-year enrollment. So, to say that they're inexperienced, yes, they haven't played a lot of SEC games, but they know what they're doing. They understand our techniques. They know what's expected of them. We're in a position where we feel comfortable and confident that they can go out and get the job done. Even though they don't have a lot of SEC games underneath their belt, they're quite capable of going out there and playing at a high level. So I'd say more than anything else, you have to have confidence in your players and their ability to do it. And I've got confidence that, whether it's Jeremiah Hughes or Javen Toviano, Ashton Stamps, all three of those freshmen can go out and play at the level necessary for us to win a championship.
So, look, it's a dire situation in the defensive backfield. There's no way to spin it. I mean, if you're inside that coaching room and you're looking at that room, if you're looking at that board, you're thinking out loud, like, this is a enormous issue going into Saturday. Just not only that you're playing young guys, the limited depth that you have. If one of these guys goes down, you are in some sincere, genuine trouble. Like, you're talking about playing guys out of real position, like really out of position. And, I think that's the situation when you head. And that's why I think, when you look at some of these guys that are not available, that's more of the issue really of them not being there. Just the necessity that they have to have them to be there is an alarming part. Stewie, this is 2 of Kelly talking about how they used last week.
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. I think we talked about it last week. I think it was important for us to do some self-scouting, some things that we needed to work on. I think it was important that, from a technical standpoint, we continue to grow technically in some areas, on both sides of the ball. And then, you still want to meet a workload, criteria, because, you just can't continue to go through the season, then all of a sudden, put up a stop. So we got to about 70% of our average workload last week, and gave the guys some active rest over the weekend, and then they reported last night, and we're back to work today.
Kelly talking about how they handled the bye week last week away. Want to welcome aboard a new sponsor here to the Jordy Culotta Show. Pierce Bespoke is a mobile tailor service headquartered here in Baton Rouge. They host trunk shows across the country with law firms, casinos, university, high-end hotels, whiskey lounges, cigar bars, and more. They outfit everyone from athletes to politicians to LSU Tiger football players to students to everyone. I got a custom-made tailor suit from Pierce Bespoke last week. It came in last week. I went through the process with Grayson Augustus and his team, and it was easy. Suit came in last week here for fall, and it was, it's fine. They take measurements from the neck down, offer thousands of fabrics to choose from, allow you to build your own sport coat, your suit, your shirt, more. The delivery time is about 3 weeks. One of the fastest in the nation. Each Pierce Bespoke Peace becomes a perfect fit guarantee. White glove service. Grayson Augustus and his team take care of everything. You can check out piercebespoke.com on their Instagram to book your fitting today. Tell them you heard it here on the show. But it is a great way if you're on the move, if you need a suit, if you need some clothes to kind of get through a boardroom or get through some meetings. Check out Pierce Bespoke, because it is awesome. My man Grayson Augustus and his crew have taken care of me, and it was easy, real easy. So check him out at piercebespoke.com. All right, so more from Kelly, as Kelly yesterday speaking with the media about this matchup. Obviously, he's got a big injury up front on the defensive line. This is 11, Stewie, of Mekhi Wingo being announced out of action this week and for the remainder of the regular season.
Yes, Mekhi had surgery. He is out for the season.
Out for the season.
Yes.
Well,
I would say this: the projections are 6 weeks, so we'll see where that goes.
Right, okay, and so on the D-line, who you're looking to fill that void, and how does his absence on the D-line sort of affect that group?
Next man up, we'll rely on the rotation that you saw pretty much against Army. It'll be a similar rotation.
So obviously that's big news, right, heading into this week. Mekhi Wingo's been playing banged up. He's been playing hurt over the last couple of weeks. And that's that tough spot of kind of the 2023 edition of college football, where players can make these choices in the middle of the season when looking ahead to the next level. What's the best for the individual? We can argue this all day, right? We can go back and forth on this all day on what benefits the team and what benefits the individual. And, I think there's never going to be a satisfied answer for anyone, but Mekhi Wingo chose to have surgery and get himself ready for, the time of the season where, he'll be getting ready for the NFL, and, who can really fault him for that? It doesn't make a lot of sense to us. Doesn't make a lot of sense to people that are following the team. But that's what those decisions are, and those are the hard parts of it, right? And Mekhi Wingo has a tough choice to make, and you have to respect him for making that choice. Whether you like it or you don't like it, I get it. I understand it. And this is a terrible week for this to happen, just like Terrace Marshall decided to step away and put his name into the NFL draft the week of the Alabama game, his junior year. How do we feel about Terrace Marshall? I love Terrace Marshall, right? I don't hold him, in bad standing because he made that decision for his future. He's given a lot to LSU, and it does not make a lot of sense to people that are team first and team oriented, and I understand that. But this is kind of the way that sports, especially at the collegiate level, has changed over the last couple of years. And that's just the hard facts of it. And I know that Mekhi Wingo says that he could potentially be back for a playoff run, and I know Brian Kelly says that it's a potential 6-week injury. But I would be shocked if we saw Mekhi Wingo play at LSU again. And that is not saying anything against Wingo. He has been an incredible player for LSU. Have gotten more out of Wingo's really what looked like his stature than you ever thought you were, right? He has been an incredible player after transferring over. And, this injury is just kind of, it comes down to those hard decisions of college football. And I don't fault him for it. I don't look back. I don't look at him in any way. I understand that's just kind of that's the way it goes. That's the business of the game right now.
And if there was ever an opportunity where he could further injure himself, it would be this game, right? Because of the physicality of it.
I just think if you look at the last month of the season.
Yeah,
he was about to get real physical.
Right, and you could kind of see the performance kind of tapering off. He gave you everything he had as long as he was in an LSU uniform, and then you saw the injury kind of start to wear on him a little bit. You saw the snap count go down a little bit, and it became such a factor that he's like, if I'm not 100% or if I'm not even close to 100%, what's the point of me trying to even gut this thing out if I'm not even helping the team?
Stewie, this is Kelly 9. Kelly talking about the defense's challenge this week against Jalen Milroe, the quarterback for Bama.
I think at first, there was this sense that he was just going to run all over the place, right? This is going to be a running quarterback, but he's not. I mean, he'll run and he can go from 0 to 60 as well as anybody. And he is a threat to run. There's no doubt about that. But he's going to stay in the pocket. He's going to throw the football. And the way they create offense is through a balance of running the football, formationing you so you can get some shots down the field. And he throws the ball well. I mean, he throws the ball well. And he can hit the open targets. He can push the ball down the field. And so I think what he's done really well is when he's been given the opportunity to take shots down the field, he's hooked up. He hasn't missed receivers. When they've created the opportunities, he's come through for him, and I think that's been impressive.
Will be it's going to be pivotal for LSU to put pressure on him. And I really believe that this is kind of a Harold Perkins game. It kind of feels like this is a Harold Perkins game. I think with the addition of a guy like Omar Spates and the addition of a guy like Whit Weeks, that, Perkins doesn't necessarily have to play the role that he did last year in this one, where he was like the real spy against Bryce Young, where, he really had to kind of keep him in the pocket, spy him, and he played that role incredibly, right? I mean, these are some of the best highlights of Perkins' freshman year came out of this game. But I think now with the addition of the cornerback of the linebackers in the offseason, the transfer from Oregon State and Spates and the true freshman in Weeks, that you've got enough firepower at that level to play that position well for 4 quarters and then allow Harold Perkins to do what he does best. I mean, if this is the game ever, to just allow him to get back out there and just play raw again and just going and getting the ball, just get after it, attack. These offensive linemen, these guys are struggling. They're giving up 4 sacks a game. Isolate Perkins on that Cade Proctor left tackle, true freshman, has been through it. I mean, he is going to have some sincere freshman nightmares throughout his career just because of some of the things that have gone on with him. I mean, he has gone through the ringer of the SEC as a true freshman. And, oh, by the way, here comes the best pass rusher possibly in the league. And, I think the ability to put Perkins on an island with a guy like Proctor, and be kind of, exotic how you get him there, where you can hide it pre-snap and, get him away from like chips where it's like real one-on-one with him. I mean, this is a game that Harold Perkins could wreck, really, with the inabilities of Alabama's offensive line, the struggles that they have, and Perkins just knack for the football. And Milroe wants to run. Like, he wants, as soon as it breaks down in the first or second read, Jaden Daniels went through this. If you remember, Jaden Daniels through the first 12 games, 10 games of his career, if he would get to a second progression and it was covered, he was gone. He was taken off. And really, you could see he felt more comfortable doing that. And looking back on it, Daniels is I mean, like that was, he was more comfortable looking back on it because he wanted to protect the ball. Right? I mean,
yeah, that gave them the best opportunity to win.
Well, he had such a premium on not turning the ball over. He felt if I was running it, like,
I can keep it right here.
Right, like I got no threat of giving it away.
What's the old adage? If you throw the ball, only 3 things can happen and 2 of them are bad.
Right.
And you talk about Perkins. I think because of the deficiencies in the defensive back room, you're not going to be able to unleash him the way that you'd probably want to against the offensive line. You're going to have to play him in coverage where he's been stellar. You might see a couple of times where you bring Perk off the edge as a blitzer, but he's going to have to play in coverage. They're just so deficient on the defensive back, like not because of talent, because of lack of bodies.
Yeah.
So he's going to have to play in coverage the majority of the time where he's thrived. He's been one of your best cover guys inside. So I'd imagine you won't get that same Bryce Young feeling where he was like stalking, lurking, coming, and being able to
do that this year.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You have to have him outside. And so you won't get that. Maybe you'll see a couple one-on-one opportunities where you bring Perk off the edge, but I think you'll see him the majority in coverage because you have to.
Yeah, I mean, I sense I understand what you're saying, but I think that they want to get to Milroe quick.
See, I wouldn't even want to put pressure on Milroe. I just want to keep him in the pocket because where he beats you is when he's able to get past that first level, extend a play, and then hit you over the top. If you force him to be a passer in the pocket, that's where he struggles because he can't hit that deep over the middle. He doesn't have that 10 to 15-yard accuracy.
I like attacking the vulnerability of Alabama's offensive line early on and putting that into your head. Right? Like, I mean, I understand of Milroe's inability to throw the ball, but moreover, the offensive line struggles is very exposable. Like, I mean, that's one part of the weakness that I believe you can really get after early on, and you can do it with some players, a guy like Perkins coming off the edge that, I mean, is they haven't seen him. They have not seen that type of speed. They haven't seen the type of scheme you can run at this offensive line that is very, very weak, and has shown that, I mean, they've given up 4 sacks over the last 5 games. I mean, it is one that you can get some money on. I mean, like you can go make some money in this game come Saturday night if you're an LSU defensive lineman. I mean, a guy like Mason Smith, right? Like who has, people have been wondering where he's been, have been wondering if he's up to speed, wondering if he's back into form. This is a game on Saturday night where you could really make some money off of it.
Is this Mason Smith's first time playing Alabama?
No,
freshman
he played him
year.
as a freshman.
Did he play as a freshman, or was he hurt?
I thought he had.
Because
I don't remember him being hurt as freshman.
I thought he
year.
got hurt against Kentucky, and that was before Alabama. I thought Kentucky was like in October of 2021.
I don't know. I just know he played.
No,
I just know he came on late in the season where he got the last.
Kayshawn didn't play against
Alabama.
And him and Mason Smith got hurt in that same game.
I don't remember.
But if it is, one thing that we haven't talked about, we talked about all of kind of the doom and gloom that came out of the bye week with the injury reports that we heard from yesterday. But that's another week for Mason Smith to get healthy.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to, you've seen him kind of get back into form a little bit, where you added Pete Jenkins, you see the defensive line get better, you see Mason Smith start to play more snaps and get better. Now with no Mekhi Wingo, you don't have a choice. But another week for that big body to heal up, rest up, and I don't know how many snaps he played against Army, so it could be a scenario where he got kind of 2 weeks off going to the Bama game fresh, especially if he's never played in it. I mean, he's going to be on 10. And you have guys like Jordan Jefferson coming in. I think the defensive line will be fine. You just lose a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
And that's the part that scares you on didn't play?
Mason Smith has never played Alabama.
Really?
Yes.
There you go.
DNP.
Huge money game for Smith. Here's Kelly talking about the series. This
Proctor.
Is 12, this is 12, Stewie, of Kelly talking about this matchup and rivalry.
Not even be important.
No, Mike updates me. Mike is my local historian. He will, and as you know, he carries history very well because he's been here so damn long. He fills me in. How many years has it been?
Since we played Alabama?
No, that you've been here. He's been here 30 years, so he is a resident historian. So, no, I think Mike does a great job of filling me in on a lot of the history of all of the games and during the year I learn about Mississippi State, the Auburn games, this Alabama game. And for me, it's exciting, right? Because I get immersed in, some of the great games and the great rivalries and the great names that have been part of this game. So I love it. I think it's exciting. And for me, because, I had been in the Midwest for most of my career, I catch just kind of, the highlighted games. And so to get filled in on some of the other ones has been really fun.
I was wondering if ever, like after you finished the game at Notre Dame and got home, if you ever happened to catch any of an LSU-Alabama game over the years.
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, I love watching college football, so it certainly would have been a game that I would have watched. I remember some of those slugfests when it was 10-3, 10-7, some of those tight games. Great defense on both sides of the ball, fighting for every inch. Just some classic games, and really enjoyed watching them.
Man, Bonnet, 30 years. Congratulations, Mike. When
Historian.
Mike first started working at LSU as a sports information director, my college house was across the street from Bonnet's first family home in South Dallas.
Y'all go way back.
I mean, way back. And for St. Patrick's Day, our sophomore year in college, we rented a school bus that had the top cut off of it.
Hell yeah.
And it was a convertible school bus that we left parked out front of the house, I'd guess, for 3 months.
I was about to say. Did
Because
it start?
after St. Patrick's Day, I mean, it
Yeah, they
didn't
did.
start, right? I mean, Bonnet
Jordy.
would have people over from the university and come cop knock on the door. I mean, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, people are shuffling in the living room. Everybody's right. I mean, hide everything. Hide everything.
They're coming.
Right.
Who had the door, cuz? It's finally here.
A fog of smoke clears. 2 o'clock sunlight. You know what I mean? Bonnet is like, you guys are effing killing me, guys. I mean, can we move the school bus out of the street?
For the 15th
I got people from
time.
the university coming over. Can I get a little bit of cooperation? I mean, we'd all be like, Mike, we'll have it done by this afternoon. No doubt we'll have it done by this afternoon. I mean, 2 weeks.
Boys, are we moving that bus today or tomorrow?
I mean, 2 weeks later.
Who's got the keys?
Yeah,
Bro, we were supposed to move it 3 days ago.
The bus!
The school bus. What is the deal, man? We're like, Mike, no doubt, 3 o'clock, she's gone today. I got the tow truck coming.
The guy's coming.
I mean,
Mike, we called him 10 times. Yes,
everybody's
he's not coming.
blaming
He's
the
like,
other
yeah,
guy,
yeah.
no doubt. Bo said he called the guy. Russ said that he had called the guy.
The guy, he said he's
mean,
coming. He
dude,
keeps telling me every day he's going to be
The fact
here.
that Bonnet still talks to me is a win. I mean, getting banned from practices and stuff is that is minor league stuff to what he was doing to us at 20 years old. I mean, he was MFing us up and down the block. I mean, his wife still will not make eye contact.
Oh, I
with us.
bet.
I mean, just
Bunch of fucking
hates
idiots.
us. Yeah, just hates us. Felons, thugs. I mean, just
All the worst.
just total hoodlums, goons, all of it, right?
Ingrates.
I mean, it was
And I'm sure Bonnet's like, look, we'll
30
be done with
years.
him in 4 to 5 years. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Here comes Culotta out,
Right.
working for LSU.
right. Mike, I need
Cover the
another
team.
credential. He'd be
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I got your credential."
Yeah, it's on the school bus.
I got your credential.
School bus with no top on it.
This thing start, we have no idea.
Tupelo Street, Southdown.
Yes.
I love it. Right there on the corner. Mike's first
Great
first
spot.
family home.
Trying to raise a family,
We
be a
had 4 of us
professional.
across the street in a 3-bedroom.
Workaholics.
Somebody's sleeping on the couch.
on the fold-out couch.
Yeah, you got people drinking beers on the roof. What's up, Mike?
Mikey!
Great day to be a
Well,
Tiger.
Mike.
Yeah. Go Tigers.
No
We
shirt
gonna
draws
land the
on.
Brandon Tofield or not?
Hit the trail, Mike.
Is Dominic Davis hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, we would ask him. So he'd be like, "Fellas, I can't comment on that." He'd be like, "Mike, I mean, come on,
Who are we gonna tell?
Is Wayne Bowe gonna play today or not, dude?" He'd be like,
He got the newspaper out trying to circle points.
I can't do this.
Look, I'm trying to get the over on Dwayne Bowe
I can't do
catches.
this. I
When's Jamarcus going to start?
I would love to get his point of view of those stories now.
Oh, my
'cause,
God.
I'm telling you, looking back on it, when you would open the door, he had that young dad, I want to kill you face. Like, you shitheads. Like,
I
you
got
little
kids over here.
20-year-old punks. You know what I mean?
My kid just
I'm
asked me
trying
what
to
that bus was
start my
for.
career, and I got to deal with you, like, just spoiled brats.
You're actively ruining my life.
It was
from across the street.
Right, like,
Mikey, game of catch?
What's the deal on Jamarcus?
Yeah.
Can he come over?
What's the red shirt rule?
I hate all of you.
Hey, Mike, we win Saturday. You're coming over.
Remember, we're brought to you by Go Roof, online, GEAUXroof.com. Get in touch with Go Roof today if you need a brand new roof, if you need roof maintenance, commercial roof, or residential roofing supplies. They can get you up and get you ready today. Go Roof online at GEAUXroof.com, 225-927-8300, 225-927-8300. Great crew over there at Go Roof. They help you out with everything, man. Like we said, they take the headaches out of it. They work directly with the insurance companies. If you want to hit them up today and let them jump on the roof. Weather is weird, man. This
came out of nowhere.
Cold, rains. I'm not down with it, man. You got some roofing problems. If you see a leak or anything and you want to get in touch with Go Roof, you can hit them up. GEAUXroof.com. GEAUXroof.com. 225-927-8300. A beautiful roof every single time when you deal with our friends over at Go Roof. Roofs up with our friends over at Go Roof. GEAUXroof.com and 225-927-8300 is the phone number. All right, we're going to talk some New Orleans Saints. We'll switch it up a little bit. Brooke Kirchhofer from NewOrleans.football will be by here in a couple of minutes, and we'll talk to Brooke about this latest win with the Saints, if maybe they unlock something here with the offense as Carr and crew, Kamara, looking nice on that side of the ball. We'll ask Brooke what she thought about it and what we think this week with the Saints, who they hosted the Chicago Bears coming in on Sunday. So we'll ask her about the matchup and what she thinks to that matchup as well. So if you have a Saints question and you want to get it to Brooke, jump inside the chat and we will let you. We will get that over to Brooke and see what she thinks about what's going on with the Saints here in the latest. All right, remember, Daily, we're brought to you by our friends over at RMB Builders. We'll be back with more of the show right after this, live on our Click Here digital campus.
That's
Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams, and other groups. Take it from us, everybody over here at FM Digital Media. They help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check him out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks.
And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, for a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, roof up? Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up. Beautiful roof every single time. True. True.
Well, the Oscar Andrews Sports Medicine Institute collaborative effort was an idea from Dr. Andrews and myself to bring together two great names, the Andrews name and the Ochsner name, to elevate the quality of care for athletes in the state of Louisiana, where he's from.
I always thought I would come back to Louisiana and practice orthopedics with my subspecialty being sports medicine. This was an opportunity through Ochsner's to come back and work the entire state to help develop and take sports medicine to a new level.
As an orthopedic surgeon, what this means in the future in terms of, access for our community to the type of care that Dr. Andrews pioneered, words can't describe how valuable that is.
Ochsner has a great opportunity here to really grow, and Dr. Burnham, of course, is the mainstay of making that happen. If you want to have first-class sports medicine care, check in with Dr. Burnham and his group, and you'll be more than impressed and pleased.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by R&B Builders and brought to you daily here from Click Here Digital Campus. As you can find Click Here Digital online at clickheredigital.com. Speaking of online, you can find our friends at neworleans.football online at neworleans.football and keep up with the latest of the New Orleans Saints. The team is incredible, man. They travel to all of the road games. The post game with Brooke and Nick at the in Indianapolis is fantastic. You will not find New Orleans Saints coverage like neworleans.football is putting out right now. And one of our favorites is every Tuesday morning catching up with neworleans.football is Brooke Kirchhofer, and she's back here with us on this Tuesday. Brooke, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing good. All right, so Saints last time out, kind of just what the doctor ordered, with a nice win and what felt like an offensive breakout. What'd you make of Indianapolis and what you saw of the Saints up there with the Colts?
Yeah, Jordy, it was exactly that, an offensive breakout. It was the get-back game the Saints needed. Now, the reason why this was different than that Patriots blowout is because the Saints had over 500 yards of total offense. They went 3 for 4 in the red zone. They likely would have went 4 for 4 in the red zone. We know that last Saints drive ended in a Blake Grupe field goal to really kill the clock. So the Saints finally got their red zone issues figured out. The Saints finally played to the strengths of Derek Carr. They ran the ball a lot in the red zone. Derek Carr had just the one that he dumped off to Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara did the rest to find the end zone. They also did mix in the 2-minute drill hurry up throughout the flow of the game, going up to the line of scrimmage sometimes with 2 plays. And even Pete Carmichael, for the first time in my opinion, has looked confident on a sideline where he was just commanding this offense, which to me, I cannot believe it took until week 8 given the talent on this offense. But hey, it's finally here. Now can you remain consistent? You're going up against a Bears team with a backup quarterback. Then you go to Minnesota, whose quarterback Kirk Cousins just tore his Achilles. We can get into the trade deadline coming up a little bit later in regards to Jameis Winston. But if the Saints can maintain this offensive performance, they should win the next 2 games and put themselves in a good position in this division.
Yeah, without question. What'd you make of the offensive line play, Brooke?
You know, a lot of people have been asking about that. And look, it is a makeshift offensive line still. You did have your starters, Cesar Ruiz, Ryan Ramczyk, as well as Eric McCoy in there. But on the left side, you know, Max Garcia and Andres Pete, I think did enough to protect Derek Carr. Now, look, we need to look at the all-22 and kind of break that down a little bit. But from what I saw, the Saints offensive line did enough to protect Derek Carr. I believe he was only sacked 1 time in the game. And people asked Derek Carr in post-game, hey, did you feel like you were getting rid of the ball a little bit quicker, trying to give not necessarily a nod to the offensive line, but recognizing that the left side is a little bit depleted? And Derek said no. I didn't feel like I was playing fast. I felt like I was playing in my own rhythm. So that's credit to the offensive line, making Derek Carr feel comfortable back there.
On the defensive side of the ball, a couple of individuals that stood out, including rookie Isaiah Foskey, I thought, who's starting to develop. What have you made of his time in New Orleans, and what type of piece is he becoming for this defense?
Yeah, it's really been a slow process for Isaiah Foskey, and I'm sure he wants that one face mask penalty back. I believe is what it was when it got called back when Tano Passanio, the ball was fumbled. Tano Passanio scoop and score into the end zone. That one did get called back, but Isaiah Foskey is a high draft pick that the Saints expected to be good to go week one, and he just has not been. He's been a guy that they've really had to groom and work to get up to speed. Look, he's still not where they want him to be, but they were able to see some bright spots. Speaking of the defense, penalties are still an issue with this team. The Saints defense had 4 penalties that set up scoring drives for the Colts up there in Indianapolis. And there was a couple times where Jonathan Taylor just dusted this defense. Look, Gardner Minshew, they were able to contain him for the most part in the game. He was able to elude the pocket a little bit and extend some plays, but this defense, not their best performance, but for the first time this season, the offense did enough to get the win. Not saying the defense did enough to get the win, which is what we have been saying week after week.
I know somebody who we talked about and who you've been on is Paulson Adebo and his play. I thought on Sunday they went after him, and I thought he responded well. What did you make of the defensive back's play?
Yeah, I need to give some credit to Paulson Adebo. I feel like we've been so hard on him, or not necessarily talking up to his ability and what we have seen from him. I had him on the trading block if the Saints could potentially get Patrick Surtain. That's not happening. It doesn't sound like the Denver Broncos are interested in trading Patrick Surtain at all up to this point. But Paulson Adebo, he should add 2 picks in this game. And the one interception, a lot of people were kind of questioning, why would you make that dangerous and kind of run around the field and not just go down when you caught the ball? Remember that Isaac Yiadom interception earlier in the year, he fell down in the end zone, and so the Saints got the ball at the 3-yard line, and then we know how that all went. So Dennis Allen said that Paulson Adebo did exactly what he was supposed to, get away from the end zone, the other end zone, and try to get upfield to put the Saints in good position on offense. But Paulson Adebo has, if he can figure out these pass interference penalties, he is right up there with Marshall Lattimore, playing very, very well on the outside.
Yeah, one of his interceptions, as you mentioned, his interception. Saints now have 9 on the season. They had 7 all of last year, so there has been an emphasis in taking the ball away. One more on defense before we get to some of the trade stuff and the offensive play. I did see Carl Granderson leave in the third quarter. Is there any update on him and what to expect around that if it's an injury?
Yeah, I was looking to see if that was happening in the game. Look, it seems like he was fine. He talked in postgame, and then the Saints brought him to the podium on Monday, which they're not going to typically bring a guy who is injured to the podium, especially on a Monday when it's kind of one of those relaxed, we only bring 2 players to talk. So I think Carl Granderson is going to be just fine. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to see him on the injury report. He might start out the week limited with whatever he was dealing with, but I think he's going to be just fine for Sunday at home.
Brooke, to me, that's a perfect stat line for Kamara on Sunday, right? Like the 57 yards rushing, 51 yards in the air, touchdown, really affecting the game. Have you seen him starting to catch his stride? And is that kind of the ideal way of him unlocking himself and the rest of the – because it seems like when he's producing like that, everybody's eating.
Absolutely. He's somebody who is, since the Saints started to struggle on offense at the beginning of the year, he has been a vocal leader in the locker room. Not just that, now he's backing it up on the field. I mentioned the Derek Carr being successful in the red zone. A lot of that had to do with Alvin Kamara and fighting for yards. He is somebody who you should get involved in the run game in the red zone. He's somebody who is successful in that area of the field. And I know we keep talking so highly of Alvin Kamara and what he can do, but we have to give a nod to Taysom Hill. He was actually our player of the game on New Orleans Football. 2 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara also had 2 touchdowns. Colin Saunders, a defensive lineman, getting in on the package. They're calling it the Bink package. That's his nickname, where Colin Saunders is the lead blocker for Taysom Hill on some of these downs. It's actually fantastic to watch, and even hear from him in the locker room after, where he's like, give me a New Jersey number. I want to be a running back on offense. The guy's a nut, but really just, it says a lot about what this team is willing to do to win games. And that starts with Alvin Kamara. And look, it has bled to the rest of the teammates on offense to try and find a way to get this thing going. And look, the offense was humming on Sunday for the first time this season. Truly. I mean, I talk about that Patriots game, but look, that's a Patriots team that really is just struggling. This, to me, was the really first complete offensive performance top to bottom that we've seen from the Saints.
Yeah, without question. All right, Rashid Shaheed's performance, I mean, he has turned into a legitimate NFL deep threat and a third wide receiver for this group that you look at that's just another weapon that is sharpening. With his ability to extend the field like that has to open up everything, right?
Yeah, I think he had only 3 catches for over 100+ yards. I mean, that just says a lot about the speed of Rashid Shaheed. Derek Carr even put out a post after the game saying Shaheed's down there somewhere. And he has continued to be somebody the Saints can lean on when a guy like Chris Olave has struggled. You even saw in the game, Chris Olave just didn't seem to be himself. He did make some big plays and recover from the one where he kind of lost the ball in the lights and what would have been a touchdown. But Rashid Shaheed, he's still a young receiver that's still figuring some things out. The Saints haven't necessarily said he's arrived or he's there yet. But on some of these just go routes where you can just throw it up to Rashid Shaheed and win in matchups in these 50-50 balls, we saw it in the game. It was honestly the game-saving play where he went up and the defender kind of had it with him and ripped it out at the end, but came back. Rashid Shaheed was down, and the Saints go down to score. To me, he has just been kind of the guy who Derek Carr can keep in the back of his bag and know that if he's got to just air it out, that he has Rashid Shaheed down the field somewhere.
Trade deadline today, Brooke. There's been some names pop up for Saints, including Curtin's going down. Jameis Winston's name is surfacing. What do you expect? What are you hearing? What do the Saints are they in the market for anything?
So as of last night, what we were hearing from our Saint sources is don't expect to see anything big today. Now, look, anything can happen, especially with the trade deadline. I believe it's this afternoon around 3 Central Time. A lot of people are asking about Jameis Winston, which when Kirk Cousins went down with the torn Achilles, as you look around the league and see what backups are available, Jameis Winston should be pretty high on that list. Now, the Vikings might reach out, but I believe the Saints do not have any intentions of trading Jameis Winston as of last night. Now, look, the Saints should be in the market for offensive linemen. I don't necessarily think that they are going to sell the farm to try and get something like that. Again, I would not be surprised if we go into the afternoon and we haven't really seen any movement from the Saints, but it's just like any NFL team. If they hear a good offer, they're going to think about it and potentially make a move. So keep an eye on it, but I don't expect those rumors going around of Jameis Winston to the Vikings to hold any weight.
Any concern on Olave? Or is this just kind of just kind of fighting through it?
I'd love to have a conversation with him in the locker room at some point soon. He's somebody who has all of the talent in the world and the potential to really be one of these wide receivers that we're talking about, top 5 wide receivers potentially in the NFL as he goes along in his career. But you have the arrest. He might be dealing with some stuff. Personally, I don't think he's ever been a wide receiver that's been scrutinized. He was always the dominant receiver at Ohio State. He comes in his rookie year, dominates. Now, for the first time, this young receiver is dealing with a whole lot of scrutiny. I do think he's in his head a little bit. And look, Michael Thomas, we know, has been mentoring Chris Olave, but Michael Thomas has his own things that he's trying to figure out. Derek Carr can't throw a slant to Michael Thomas. I mean, the guy has enough to worry about on his plate. I don't know what's going on with Chris Olave. It seems to me that his mind is maybe in 2 spots. He's just trying to figure out, how do I get back to my game? I think the headlines might be getting to him a little bit. And to me, that's what's going on with the coaching staff too. They need to be at the forefront of that, making sure one of their top receivers is good to go mentally. And we just haven't seen that yet from Chris Olave. Dennis Allen, like I mentioned earlier, said that Chris kind of lost the ball in the lights, but you got to make those plays in the NFL, especially the two that Derek Carr threw to Chris Olave. I think he is going to bounce back. I don't think this is something that is expected to linger throughout the entirety of the season, but this is something the Saints have to get some control of. And look, they talk about sports psychology nowadays more than ever. I believe the Saints have a sports psychologist. Look, and that could be the solution and a potential to get Chris back on track. But yeah, he is not. It doesn't seem like his head is where it needs to be right now.
Yeah, those young growing pains of a professional athlete seems like Chris Olave is kind of right in the middle of the storm right now. Brooke Kirchhofer, who is the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year, she's with us every Tuesday morning, and she represents New Orleans.football, which is an absolute army in covering the New Orleans Saints. They are at every road game. They've got a podcast. They got a YouTube channel. They got a website. You can hit them on, I say land, sea, and air. They get you every way. And you can catch Brooke here every Tuesday morning on the Jordy Culotta Show. Good to see you as always. We'll talk next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
All right, there she is, Brooke Kirchhofer from checking in from New Orleans.football. Check that out and make sure and hit her up on social media at Brooke Chesney to keep up with what happens with the New Orleans Saints. Hour 2, we're moving back to LSU and Alabama, obviously right there in the spotlight. Wilson Alexander will be here in a couple of minutes. Alexander going to be here in about 15 minutes as he'll be here in his Tuesday regular spot as we will react to the defensive backfield woes for LSU. How do they go into this week? We were talking a little bit about the pressure versus the coverage, and one thing I believe in bringing pressure is because you have to take the pressure off the back end. You have to take the pressure off of the coverage guys that don't have the experience. That it's obvious that that's what Alabama's plan is going to be, right? It's going to be attack that group, attack those new faces, those young guys that don't have a lot of experience. And I think to really neutralize that, to take that away, you have to create pressure. I think that you have to get after Milroe. I think there has to be an emphasis of getting him to the ground, especially with Alabama's. They show you that they're vulnerable to pass rush. You can get to Milroe. He's, like we said, he's been sacked a minimum of 4 times over the last 5 games apiece. Say that out loud. I mean, that is terrible.
The crazy thing about
offensive line.
The crazy thing about it, though, is it doesn't really affect them what they do offensively because of their propensity to hit the big play.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter when they get behind on the sticks because if you pop one time, which is why I was thinking more of on the coverage end of if you do bring pressure, you're putting those guys on an island back there. If you don't get home, you're going to have people running naked behind you, and that's where you get Burton getting his game going. But I understand what you're saying. If you can get, kind of get maybe Milroe to have some happy feet where he's not being able to look downfield and he's constantly looking in front of him instead of looking downfield, there's an avenue for both. But I would be more inclined to, because of the way your offense can score, it would be to keep the ball in front of you, and hopefully you can get a stop.
Huge responsibilities on these safeties this weekend, too.
Yep.
I mean, you're talking about the experience of the defensive backfield in Andre Sam and Major Burns, right? Like, look, I don't have a lot of confidence in Burns in coverage, but this week he's going to have to pick up some of the slack and give these guys some help over the top. And really, from Sam's standpoint, he's got to be playing from a confidence standpoint as high as he's been all season long going into this matchup. He's really played well over the last couple of weeks. I hope he can capitalize on that play going into the biggest matchup of the season. And for his part, look, he needs to keep up the physical play on the field, but he might have to pick up more of the mental slack this week in being a communicator and being somebody that really understands and can help these young faces, these new guys out on the outside in some coverage situations. So, the emphasis on the youngsters is going to be there. I think that, they're going to have a bullseye on their back from Tommy Rees, the Alabama offensive coordinator, and Jalen Milroe, the Alabama quarterback. But an emphasis has to be placed on the safety play to make sure and provide these guys the help and support that they need in lining up, knowing where they're supposed to be, and over the top help. I think that what Alabama wants to do in the passing game. You know how they want to beat you, right? I mean, you saw them come out last week and get right back to that over-the-top stuff in the third quarter versus Tennessee. I mean, right out of halftime, just bang, bang. Hit you right over the top. I mean, that's where they want to play in the air. So for these safeties, there has to be a huge understanding of that's where he wants to be, and you've got young and inexperienced on the outside. Give these guys as much help as possible in these situations so, they're not as isolated as Alabama would like them to be, right? Remember, Daily, we're brought to you by Hughes Mechanical Contractors. Hughes Mechanical is a HVAC repair service located in Zachary. They also have an office over in Covington in the North Shore. Travis Hughes and his family have a great spot, man. Great, trusted name. Hughes Mechanical Contractors. They're a Daikin Custom Pro dealer and have great warranty with their Daikin products. Online at hughesmechanical.net, 225-658-2147, 225-658-2147 is the phone number. Online at hughesmechanical.net is where you can find Travis Hughes and his crew. Make sure and tell him that you heard it here on the Jordy Culotta show. Coming up, we'll talk to Wilson Alexander. Alexander is going to be here at 8:15. We'll get his thoughts on this Alabama offensive attack, what some of the strategy is for the LSU defense going into this weekend, especially with limited personnel and inexperience in the secondary. So we'll talk to Wilson about that as well. Make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button if you don't mind. Brian Kelly was also updating the status of some guys that had missed some time, including Emory Jones. This is 16, Stewie, of Kelly talking about what he expects from his sophomore right tackle coming off of his injury versus Auburn.
Pretty well for y'all. Yeah, Emory's practicing. We had him moving around last week, and he participated in our workouts. But he'll go for practice today. Lance has done a great job of coming in and playing at a high level. It's great to have a true freshman that come in and compete at the level he did against Auburn and at Army. So he'll be ready and prepared if we do in fact call on him.
Here is Brian Kelly. This is 15, Stewie, of him talking about his quarterback and the emphasis and really the responsibility of the quarterback heading into this game for LSU.
What's your expectation?
It'll be part of the body of work throughout the entire season. He's going to have other games. He's going to have the Florida game and Georgia State and Texas A&M and postseason, but it'll certainly be part of the body of work. If he throws 4 interceptions and, certainly we don't play well, that will be part of the body of work throughout the entire season. Again, I don't know that it's one game that makes or breaks a Heisman. I think it's the body of work, and I think we're seeing that as the season, plays out. But certainly, he's going to be judged on the entire season, and there'll be a lot of eyes certainly on this particular game.
Offensive game plan for LSU, not the game plan, but the offensive mindset heading into this matchup versus this Tide defense. For Brian Kelly.
Yeah, I think the offense clearly recognizes their ability to be explosive, but have balance on offense and defense. So there's no reason for them not to be anything but who they are. And so I think that there's a confidence level that, if they prepare the right way, if they stick to their process, that they're going to have success. And so I think that that's been their mindset, is just practice and put in the preparation the right way, and things will take care of themselves. What I was alluding to is essentially that this is a young group of players. We traveled 21 freshmen again this weekend. We had a slew of transfers come in on defense, and it was really a new group that we had to kind of on board, if you will, in the second season. And so just the development of the football team has been enjoyable. Watching the growth of the football team. They've done everything we've asked them to do. They have done the little things, and it's been hard. It's not been easy. There was a difficult loss to start the season. There was a very disappointing loss on the road, but they haven't backed down at all, and that's been enjoyable as a coach.
Going back to what Kelly said about the Heisman Trophy with his quarterback, Jaden Daniels, I would push back a little bit and disagree. I understand why Kelly says what he does in that it's a body of work award and that Alabama, the game, is only a part of the body of work. And that has to be the answer from Brian Kelly, right? I mean, anything else would put more emphasis on the Alabama game than the other games, which is what he is trying to do.
None of.
Like hyper. I mean, he is in hyper mode of trying to make sure and balance this game against the rest of them and make sure that it equals out to as much as they all do. But we all know that it doesn't, right? Like, we all know that this is a bigger spot than LSU has been in the other games in the season, maybe outside of Florida State. But Kelly can't come out and say that. This game absolutely is going to be Jaden Daniels' Heisman moment game if it exists. If Daniels wins the award, which right now I believe him to be in prime discussion of a top contender in competing for, this game will mean a ton. It will weigh more than the others. As far as the body of work is concerned, yes, it will be a judgment of the full body of work. It will just be this game will just be looked at more than any other ones.
Through a different lens, right? Because that's when you start constructing the narrative. If Jaden Daniels wins or loses, if it's a loss, you look at, he couldn't beat Florida State, lose to Ole Miss, and then you lose to Alabama. Your three biggest games on the schedule are all losses. And no matter how well you play, the quarterback position at the end of the day is judged on wins and losses. They get assigned those regardless of the fact that it's a team sport. But you always point to the quarterback first. And you could even say in the Ole Miss game, at Florida State game, people say he played poorly when he had over 400 yards of total offense. Like, he played well. It just wasn't enough to win a football game where your defense gave up, in both cases, almost 1,000 yards of offense. So this will come down to, even if Jaden Daniels has a marginal game and LSU is somehow able to win, this will still be a boost for his Heisman campaign if LSU just wins.
Yeah.
Like, if he throws for 250 and 2 touchdowns and runs for 50, that's a win.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, you just got
that goes farther than throwing for 500, 4 touchdowns and a loss.
That's right.
Which is crazy.
It is, but
it's the world we live in.
That's the criteria, and what it's shown has been kind of the model the last couple of years. And I agree. I mean, you got to win the game if you want to stay relevant in the race, right? If he wants to become or he wants to remain a contender for this award and this trophy, he's got to keep winning.
And I think a lot of that is because he wasn't involved in the discussion early on. Like, when you talk about preseason awards and all of this, there was no Jaden Daniels for Heisman talk. And so the national pundits don't want to be wrong. They don't want to come off their, my Bo Nix take, my Michael Penix take, all of the Quinn Ewers. Like, there's people that just pop up that it's because that's a narrative that they were pushing early on because, wait, no, this is what I said. I don't want to be – it's not a Tim Tebow media darling scenario. It's like, look at this guy come out of nowhere. Everybody loves him. It's just been a tour de force of offense where it's become almost too big to ignore, but they still don't want to accept the fact that it's happening.
All right, we'll come back. We'll talk more LSU football. Wilson Alexander will be here. We will talk to Wilson, get his thoughts heading into Saturday night and game week here of LSU Bama. Come back with us live here from Click Here Digital as we are on the campus here in Baton Rouge on Interline Avenue in between Airline and Drusilla, setting you up with digital marketing plans every single day. Got customers a mile long of people that have been working with Click Here Digital over the years. Been around, sir, for 30 years. 1993 opened the doors here in Baton Rouge. Now a Google Premier partner. Learn more how you can set your Google ads, your social media ads, how you can get help with SEO, website, all of it. Digital marketing strategy here from Click Here Digital. Online, clickheredigital.com, or email me directly, Jordy at clickheredigital.com. We'll be back. More of the show. Wilson Alexander from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune right after this. If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up.
Roof's up!
Roof's up.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every single time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Head health is incredibly important for our student athletes. One of the best ways we're trying to address concussions is on the front end. We're trying to prevent these before they happen. And a big part of that is speaking to the athletes, letting them know what to expect. Okay, speaking to the parents, what to look out for, talking to the coaches so they know the vital importance. Some of the big things we're looking for with a concussion, which is, a traumatic brain injury, is one, was there a mechanism? Was there an injury that took place that could lead to this? Often a direct blow to the head, a head-to-head hit. If someone's showing signs of concussion, our first step is always to remove them from activity, get them to a place where there's less stimuli, where we can really just sit down and get a feel for the athlete, what they're feeling. We're looking for headache, we're looking for dizziness, any sign that coordination is off, that something's just not right. Get a good evaluation of them to understand what's going on. It's not worth the risk that may be there to kind of ignore it, because there are very serious consequences if we don't treat a concussion properly.
Don't let concerns about shifts in the market disrupt your long-term financial goals. Edward Jones financial advisor Daniel Newman can help. He'll work with you on an investment strategy for long-term results. Edward Jones can give you the tools and knowledge for a steady approach to hitting your financial targets. Get started today by calling Daniel Newman at 225-261-8262. 225-261-8262. Edward Jones, member SIPC. All right, welcome back here. Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show. Every Tuesday, we talk to Brooke Kirchhofer of NewOrleans.football about the Saints, and we talk to Wilson Alexander from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune about LSU football, who he covers for that outlet. You can follow him on social media at WHAlexander_. They got some cool podcast stuff happening over at The Advocate, too. If you want to check that stuff out, we'll give Wilson an opportunity to promote that before we get out of here. But we welcome back the newly married Wilson Alexander. Beautiful pictures coming out over the weekend. Congratulations to you and the bride, Wilson, as everything looked like it was fantastic on Saturday night. A bye weekend well spent. Oh.
Uh-oh.
One second.
One second. No, it's not you, Wilson.
It's not you.
Is it on the front PC headphone? Okay, now we're good.
Wilson, you there?
Got me?
Yeah, we got you, buddy.
Because we can't see the hair.
Congratulations. Sorry about that. Fumbled the opening,
worries.
but
Thanks,
yes.
Well, thank you very much. It was a wonderful weekend. We're extremely happy, of course, and but it's football season, so right back into it. And yeah, thank you, and thank you to everybody who came and all of those things. It was certainly a bye weekend well spent, as you said.
What a trooper she is for the delayed honeymoon approach.
She's a keeper.
Claimed got her.
That's right. All right, Wilson. Is this story of the LSU defensive back? Is it as big as it should be? Or is it bigger than it should be? What do you make of this story? Because on the surface, it feels enormous.
You mean just what's going on in the defensive backfield?
Right. Just the lack of bodies.
Right. No, it's absolutely huge. I mean, this is, of course, part of it is, LSU being DBU, and DBU is not what it used to be this season. And then on top of that, you're down to Sage Ryan on one side, who is a converted safety. It sticks into my head just how we talked to Sage a while back and asked, have you ever played corner before this year? He's like, nope, not really. Certainly not in his LSU career had he played it. And obviously he's a phenomenal athlete, but that's a transition. And he's played some pretty solid football over the last few weeks since he became a starter again at that outside corner spot going to the Missouri game. But now you're down to guys who just do not have much experience on the other side. Luckily, you're not dealing with the 2019 or the 2020 Alabama offense with someone like Devontae Smith or Ruggs or Waddle or Judy, guys like that over at receiver. But Jermaine Burton and some of those other guys, they've been able to have some explosive plays downfield. Jalen Milroe, that's one of the things he does well is throw the deep ball. He's got like 10.5 yards per attempt. And that's, was at least going into the bye week second in the country, tied with J.J. McCarthy behind Jaden Daniels. And they do that well. You could see it back at the Ole Miss game. In particular, there was a play where, that was a tight game, and Jalen Milroe made a fantastic throw as he was getting hit about 40 yards downfield, touchdown to Jermaine Burton. They can do those sorts of things. And so LSU is going to have to be able to play the ball in the air, which is something that it struggled with this season. And maybe not even as much of that. I mean, obviously that's important, but just simply tackling on the outside and in the secondary is going to be absolutely vital in this game, as it is in every game. And it reared its head against Ole Miss. That was a big reason LSU lost. And when you have some inexperienced guys out there on the other edge, whether it's Stamps or Terrence Welch, or if they go in another direction, opposite Sage Ryan, those guys are going to have to be able to tackle well so that LSU doesn't run into this problem of yards after catch or long third downs getting converted. Those are the things that have hampered this defense when it's been struggling this season.
Who out of these youngsters do you expect to get the opportunity?
It wouldn't surprise me if maybe a couple of guys played at some point during the game. Stamps is, of course, the only one who started at any point this season, so maybe he could get the nod. LaTerrence Welch, had some moments in the Ole Miss game, and he's but he played a lot of snaps in that game. He actually played more snaps than than Ashton did in that game. But then it was sort of inconsistent. So maybe they go with Jeremiah Hughes, or it would be surprising if it was Toviano to start simply because he only just got moved back to corner fairly recently. But I mean, I don't know. I would expect them to all probably play, maybe not all of them, but for a couple of them to play a little bit, and LSU to maybe try to figure out and end up riding like a hot hand if there is one. Maybe Stamps gets the nods first. He's the one who kind of came on in the preseason, and although he missed the last couple of weeks, he's been able to practice again here recently, and on track to play in the game. And so he was someone who was pretty high on the depth chart before he got hurt.
Do you have anything on Chestnut and Harris on why it's been so tough for them to be active?
No, nothing specific. More so than we all kind of know at this point. It's just sort of those disciplinary things, and they, Chestnut, of course, has been out for really since over a month now, and Harris kind of in and out of the lineup, and so no, nothing specific. More so than what we know right now, unfortunately.
The Mekhi Wingo news, Wilson. What does it do for this team? How does it affect them going into Saturday?
It's a huge loss, and it's sort of surprising. I mean, when Brian Kelly first sort of brought this up that Mekhi was going to be out for the Army game, it was sort of presented as he'll be out, but this is manageable, and maybe miss the bye week, miss the Army game, and then back for Alabama. And so then, of course, he ends up needing to have surgery over the bye, and he's going to be out for the regular season. Mekhi tweeted that, I'll be back for the playoffs, but that would be contingent on LSU, sort of making the playoffs for that to be able to happen. And he would, so at the earliest, it's sometime in the postseason. And at that point, he's also dealing with probably a decision of having to decide if he wants to put himself in that kind of a spot because he's, this is his draft year. And so it's a huge loss. This is your number 18 for starters. I mean, that's, everything that comes with that. He's a leader of this group. And he's also just been a really solid defensive tackle, especially the first half of the season. That Florida State game, that was sort of the one bright spot to cling on to was that Mekhi was playing really good football. And he does a lot of different things in this defense. He plays defensive tackle, but they've done some stuff over the last couple of months, last sort of month and a half in particular, moving him out to defensive end at times and sort of moving him all over the place because he's really versatile and he can do a lot of different things. So it helps that they at least have Jordan Jefferson there to step into the starting lineup. We haven't seen him played this significant of a role, even though with the moments that we have seen him in, he's been pretty good. Obviously, Brian Kelly said that yesterday that he graded out as their top defensive tackle at this point in the season. But him and Mason Smith and some of these other rotational guys are going to really have to play well because Alabama's offense, one of the big keys is going to be able to stop the run, make them kind of one-dimensional. And so it's going to really be important for Jordan Jefferson, Mason Smith, Jacobian Guillory, maybe Jalen Lee steps into the fourth member as that rotation. They're going to have to step up.
Wilson, how do you like this matchup just on paper a couple of days out now that we're in game week? Have you had an opportunity to look at it? I mean, everybody's billing this offense versus this defense. What is this game from your point of view?
In that regard, it's very much strength versus strength. It's going to be awesome to watch LSU's offensive line versus this Alabama defensive front. LSU has not been tested like this on the offensive line since probably the Florida State game, and it struggled in that game. Auburn was a test, and they obviously just pushed them off the ball. And so this is kind of be probably the toughest defensive front that LSU plays all season. And so are they going to be able to do the same kind of things up front that they have been able to? Because this is this rushing attack is schematically kind of vanilla in terms of a lot of inside zone, building off that RPOs and that kind of action, those zone reads that they love to do with Jaden Daniels and Logan Diggs. But that requires the offensive line just getting a lot of push. It's sort of just strength on strength in that regard. And Alabama is not going to be as easy to maybe push them off the ball as some of these other opponents. But if LSU can do it, it just goes to further show how good this offensive line has been and can be this season. And so it is very much strength versus strength with LSU's offense and Alabama's defense. And then I don't know if it's necessarily weakness versus weakness on the other side because Alabama's gotten a little bit better offensively and Milrose started to settle in. But it's certainly not where they're strongest. And it gives you, you asked earlier, is this as big as it is with LSU, what they're dealing with in the secondary? And it certainly is. This is an Alabama offense that has gotten a little bit better. It's inconsistent, but it has these moments where it can be very explosive. And that is a worrisome kind of thing when what LSU is dealing with in the back end.
Alabama's getting the home field advantage, 3-point on the line. Does that feel right? I mean, on a neutral field, a pick-em game in this one?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, especially with how good LSU's offense has been, Jaden Daniels and Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and that whole crew, if they can continue to play the way they have, then LSU's going to be in this thing. This offense has just been so good. Jaden Daniels is the best downfield passer in the country, best quarterback in the country by pretty much every stat at this point. And so, I think that feels about right, that on a neutral field, this would be kind of an even kind of thing because if LSU, it feels like LSU's offense is going to be able to score quite a bit. The whole question is, can it score enough to overcome what might happen on the other side?
Have you learned on Aaron Anderson? I mean, he was hurt and banged up a couple of weeks back and progressed. You've seen him the last couple of games in action, and it felt like he was as explosive as he's been all year long the last time we saw him. I'd imagine his emotions are running high on the bus trip into Bryant-Denny. Do you get an idea of how he may affect this game come Saturday, if at all?
Maybe he's LSU's fourth receiver, and they did a few things since he's been healthy to get him the football a little bit more. But it's still probably going to be, the Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas show featuring Karen Lacey. And maybe this is a little bit more of Aaron. It's interesting, though, because Aaron is – what we've seen them do so far with what LSU's done with him has been a lot of kind of side-to-side stuff, getting him on those sort of jet sweeps and in the quick passing game. And this offense is so vertical right now that it doesn't quite fit. It doesn't quite match what he's been asked to do within the offense and what the offense has done at its best. And so it'll probably maybe he gets 3 or 4 touches. Based on what we've seen so far, it would be kind of a surprise if he ended up having a bigger game than that. He's kind of a complimentary piece at this point, but we have seen him be explosive. We saw him be extremely explosive in the preseason, and maybe he can end up making a difference if he gets his hands on the football.
An incredible stat that I just read. Lloyd just put it in front of my face. I believe Brett McMurphy put this out. Jaden Daniels has the opportunity to become the first quarterback to beat Nick Saban in consecutive years since Drew Brees did it at Purdue in 1995 and 96.
98 and 99.
I'm sorry, 98 and 99. If Daniels wins this game, Wilson, outside of the personal accolades that he could accomplish, the Heisman area, what would this do for him in LSU history in your opinion?
First of all, that's an incredible stat.
Crazy.
That's amazing.
He's never lost consecutive games. Consecutive quarterbacks at Alabama.
Unreal.
That is absolutely wild. Wow. What would it do for Jaden? I mean, it's hard to maybe kind of quantify at this point what that would do for Jaden in LSU history. And it's tough because there's that caveat of, well, this team has already got 2 losses, and even if Jaden beats Alabama. And obviously, wins are not necessarily a quarterback stat, but if he is able to pull it off and have another fantastic game and LSU wins, I have to imagine it's fully kind of cements him as the number 2 quarterback in LSU history. I think there's certainly arguments to be made otherwise. He hasn't won a national championship yet or something like that, or an SEC title yet. Maybe an SEC championship is down the road because, of course, if they beat Alabama, then you're in the driver's seat. But I think it would just further solidify that this is somebody who needs to be in New York, maybe even needs to be hoisting a Heisman Trophy at the end of the season, and it really kind of solidify his place in LSU lore, certainly, and maybe as number 2 in those discussions if he isn't already, because he's playing phenomenal football. Got to sit down with him last week and talk about some of the things that he's done to develop as a passer, and it's fascinating just how far he's come in a year. And gosh, yeah, that's an amazing stat, though. I don't know. It's kind of got me speechless a little bit. That's an awesome stat.
It is a great stat. Last one, I'll get you out of here. Is he a first-round pick, do you believe?
I don't know. We're still a little bit ways out, of course, from the season. I mean, you got to stay healthy through the end of the year. That's a key. Last year, of course, Hendon Hooker was around this time Heisman Trophy candidate, possible winner, maybe first-round draft pick, and he gets hurt. And so, knock on wood, that doesn't happen with Jaden. That's kind of the first thing. Got to stay healthy through the end of the season. And it kind of depends on the needs of the teams, right? I mean, he's most likely not going to go above, Caleb Williams, Drake May, maybe even Shedeur Sanders, some of these other signal callers, because this is such a rich quarterback class coming out. But what I think is more maybe what he has more of an argument to be is the first senior quarterback taken, because it's like him and Penix and Bo Nix and a couple other guys, and Jaden is really catapulted himself up draft boards, but into the first round kind of depends on how many teams need a quarterback, and if there's one that falls in love with him in that kind of way, willing to take a first round pick on him. So there's so many factors at this point in the year, it's hard to find out, but he certainly put himself in the conversation of being the first senior quarterback taken off the board. And we'll see if that ends up translating back into the first round.
Enjoy Saturday. It should be a treat for all of college football, and you will be there. Looking forward to hearing about it next Tuesday. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me, y'all.
All right, Wilson Alexander checking in, freshly off the market. Sorry, ladies. Back to square one. Wilson is gone. WH Alexander _ is ready
Update
to
your bios.
On social media. That's right. Quit the stalking of the writers.
I can't believe you put on a hat.
I know.
It must have been a lot of pomade for the wedding. It must be, need some time off.
I saw somebody in the chat said Wilson's girl's already doing work on him.
Hey, that hair's just for me. Yeah, that hair's just for the home.
Put this Braves hat on before you go on.
Get dressed.
Yes, man.
Swipe right. Put on a hat.
What a stat
clothes.
by McMurphy.
Well,
read that out loud again.
There is some conjecture going on. So I was looking at the Dabo Swinney. That was unbelievable, that 5-minute
Tyler
rant.
from Spartanburg?
Yeah, got his ass.
He got him.
But, okay, this is from Brett McMurphy. LSU's Jane Daniels is trying to become the first starting quarterback to beat Nick Saban in consecutive seasons since Purdue's Drew Brees in 1998 and 1999, when Saban was at Michigan State. Saban has never lost consecutive seasons to the same quarterback at Alabama. So that's the Alabama stat is for real. People were saying in the comments of this tweet that Rex Grossman did it 2000, 2001.
Grossman absolutely did it.
So he's in the.
He didn't beat him.
He drubbed him.
Slaughtered him.
I think they scored like a combined, what was it, like almost 100 points?
I mean, the one in Tiger Stadium was a massacre. I mean, it was. LSU was going into that game like fired up.
Yeah, well, because it was Nick Saban's first year was 2000. They got drubbed at Florida.
Right.
And it was
0-1. I mean, like, that was a pretty good team. Well, the SEC champs.
Florida came in and.
I mean, beat the ever-living hell out of LSU. I still see Jabbar Gaffney
just going down left and right, left and right.
Taylor Jacobs, Jamar. I mean, it was a massacre.
Rex Grossman for Heisman.
Yeah, Rex Grossman.
Sexy Rexy. Yes.
Brought the Bears to the Super Bowl.
Should have won it. Devin Hester.
Yeah, that's right.
But now you
that's
see
an amazing stat, though.
There's only two quarterbacks then. If that's the case, it still doesn't really change much. Jane Daniels is trying to join elite company with Drew Brees, now Rex Grossman, and Jane Daniels would be the third.
Grossman won the Heisman, right?
I think he came in second.
He was a finalist.
Yeah. But this goes to show why Nick didn't want Drew Brees in Miami. Still holding on to some ill will.
Still blames Lynn Cannell.
Another Florida guy.
Good stuff from our
they're tied together.
That's right. Good stuff from our guest as always. Thanks to Brooke. Thanks to Wilson for stopping by here on this Tuesday in their regular spot. Make sure and follow them on social media to keep up with the Saints and the Tigers, respectively. We will hear more from Brian Kelly, and we'll close out the show when we come back here on the Jordy Culotta Show, built by RMB Builders.
Not like you talk to me like I'm a 12-year-old.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having me joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself. Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
As primary care sports physicians, the things we think about the most with our athletes from a medical standpoint usually involves the head, the climate, and the heart. We have to be very careful about participating in sports when it is safe, but also having the proper equipment to take care of them if we are worried about the athletes. So here in Louisiana, obviously heat can be a big problem. Things that I think about as a primary care sports medicine physician is that it's safe enough for our athletes to participate. And there are certain regulations that we follow here at Ochsner, but throughout the entire state, to make sure it is safe for our athletes to participate. When we think about concussion, we have to really recognize those symptoms from the forefront, and that becomes a cultural issue as well. As for the heart, screening exams are by far the most important thing that we can think about. We go through a series of questions, but also listen to the athlete's heart and ask about family history and other symptoms they may have had in the past. By doing so, we can identify and potentially screen out athletes to make sure that they are safe to participate in the sports that they love to do.
All right, welcome back here. Jordy Culotta Show, as always. We are built by RMB Builders. Can we make that happen? Can we do that?
What?
I mean,
why
do we
not?
have a phone?
Yeah, we have a phone.
Stu, you got a phone up?
Mm-hmm. It's
All
a
right.
PSA. We're trying to help a Louisiana legend.
When did he put that out?
He put it out.
Who
A lot
put
of
that
people
out?
are boozy badass. October 30th, so last night at 10:13.
Wait, he put his number out
He
on
put his
social
phone
media?
number out on
Yeah.
social media.
That thing is probably blowing up.
Call him.
Let's just see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
It's kind of dangerous
You
territory.
want to play the Dabo video first?
No,
No, at the same time.
We should play it for Boosie.
Let him react to it like we used to do in road.
I got the bubble guts. I'll take your pictures. I'll take all your pictures.
What's his number?
20. I mean, it's on social. I don't feel bad about doing
No,
this.
no.
205
What's that?
215
It's 205.
7895. It's probably one of his guys. You know, I don't think you're getting directly to Boozy.
Might be. We'll see.
Birmingham. LSU fan.
Let's leave him a voicemail.
It's like an entertainment.
like a
company.
manager.
Yeah, he's a manager.
So to leave a voicemail if you want. Hey, Jordy Culotta Show, just a PSA.
just trying to help.
We have Reach out in Birmingham. We have a guy over
trying to
there. I guess he was at the Pelly's game. Were they playing at home?
Who, Boosie?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they played
did
Golden
play.
State last
They got
Oh,
thrashed.
Steph Curry.
7 of 13.
10
from
years
three.
in a row.
Ingram was scratched right before the game. You get beat by 20. There's your 20 right there.
Yeah.
What's
But
up
yeah,
with
Steph
BI?
Curry was cooking.
What's up
Something
with-
sore knee.
Wow.
No, it's a long season.
Early
But-
in the season for that.
I mean, I watched the game last night with Lil J, and I hate to eat the Zion early season medicine, but I
it
mean,
is.
like when he touches the ball
It's
within 8
food.
feet, it's a bucket. He is a bucket, man, and it is frustrating to watch. I can't. I'm not. I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. I'm not doing it.
I've slipped on this far too many
I'm
times.
not doing it, man.
But it's enamoring when you watch it.
It is.
I think I can fix her.
It is. I mean, it's just he's so
Good.
bro. Like he, you can tell, like even NBA players.
Yeah, they respect
They're just
him.
like,
I can't do. It's nothing I
they
can
like
do.
look at the bench. They're like, I mean, what do you,
want me to
with this
do?
guy, man? I mean, he beat the double team to the baseline last night.
That's his calling card.
Caught it on the wing, swept it, beats the double to the baseline, and just yams it. And you're like,
What just happened?
like, what are you doing? Like, you're so good at this.
I'm a knee.
Yeah. I'm not doing it, man. I'm not falling for it.
Well, it's going to happen because
It
you
is.
can't be that big and that explosive, and the human body is not built for that.
So has everybody heard this Dabo Sweeney phone call from his coach's show?
I guess this is why BK doesn't take calls.
See, this is exactly what Dabo thought it would be fun.
Right.
Until you go 4-4.
Exactly. Like, for the last 12 years, he's been winning 10 games, and now it's starting to, the walls are starting to close.
The
in
Church
on
of Dabo.
Right? Everybody thinks you're a nerd when you're sprinting down that hill, man.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's like...
Trip, fall, trip.
Right. Throw an egg at his head. Time this thing perfect.
Yeah, but the walls are starting to shake. People are starting to ask a lot of questions.
Tyler from Spartanburg, South Carolina, had a couple of issues with Dabo, the first being his enormous contract. Here is the 5-minute call last night. Who is this from, Stewie? Before we get into it, let's make sure. This is the Clemson Radio Network.
Tiger calls.
Let me find out who their provider is so we can give proper radio
attribution.
Let's see here. Clemson Radio Network is a part of...
This is the Clemson Tigers official Tiger Calls.
Okay. This is Tiger Calls, the flagship radio, WCCP, The Roar.
You can have all your opinions that you want. All right? I don't know how old you are. I don't really care. All right? But let me tell you something. You won 11 games last year. You're part of the problem.
He's amazing.
To be honest with you, because that is part of the problem. It's people like you that all you do is the appreciation. The expectation is greater than the appreciation. And that's the problem. And so, we've won 12 10-plus win seasons in a row. That's happened 3 times in 150 years. So if you want to know why, Clemson ain't sniffed a national championship for 35 years. We've won 2 in 7 years. And there's only 2 other teams that can say that, Georgia and Alabama. Okay? Is this a bad year? Is this yeah. And that's my responsibility.
All right. That's what we're calling about.
And all this bull crap you're thinking, all these narratives you read, listen, man, you can have your opinion all you want. And you can apply for the job. Good luck to you. All right. To your question. All right, we're second in draft picks. We've graduated 98% of our guys. We're second in wins. Right? If you want to know why, again, I'm telling you, we're not perfect. There's a lot of teams that, Frank Howard never had a bad year. Coach Ford never had a bad year. Coach K never had a bad year in basketball. People have a bad year. But the part of the problem is the appreciation. I used to tell people all the time, they say, what's the difference in Clemson? Let me tell you. At some places there's an expectation, and at Clemson there's an appreciation. And what's happened at Clemson is we've won so much that even when we used to be the funds in the winning, now even when you win, people like you complain and criticize the coaches and question everything. People like you. Like when I hired Tony Elliott to be the offensive coordinator who never called a play in his life.
Oh, thanks, Coach. Appreciate that.
People like you.
I don't know under this bus.
Love to destroy people with your comments. All right? I'm sure you've never made any bad decisions. I'm sure you've lived a perfect life. I'm sure you've led a bunch of people. I'm sure you do your job. So to answer your question, I started as the lowest paid coach in this freaking business. All right? And I'm where I am because I've worked my ass off. Every single day. And I ain't going to let some smart-ass kid get in the room and create this stuff. So if you got a problem with it, I don't care. All right?
You sure?
The Board of Trustees, the president, and the AD. And if they're tired of me leading this program, all they got to do is let me know.
Program?
I'll go somewhere else.
All right.
Where there is an appreciation. All right? Cool. It's not just winning, it's how you win. And we are in this is a tough year. But we've had 12 10-plus win seasons in a row. 12. We lost to Tennessee last year. They won 11 games for the first time in like 20 years. We've had 8 11-win seasons in whatever, 11 years or whatever. We've won 2 national championships. Clemson went 35 years. All right, probably since before you were born. Your whole freaking life. And we've won 2 in 7 years.
Circle back to the 90s.
He got lost in his own sauce.
The best to do it.
Circle back.
Am I perfect? No, I'm far from it. And I am a man of faith.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
I'm 53 years old.
I'm a man.
One thing in my life, I have been a part of
Aye.
many times.
Aye.
But
Aye.
one thing in my life that I've
Aye.
failed at, Tyler. Ever. I wanted to get an education. I got 2 degrees. I wanted to be the first college in my graduate my family. I did it. I wanted to go play football at Alabama. I earned a scholarship. That was 3 years. Worked my ass off. Won a national championship. I wanted to get into coaching. I worked my way to being a head coach. And when I got this job, and I'm sure you didn't want me to get this job.
Oh, damn
15
it.
years later, I'm still here. And I'd say the results are what they are, and I stand on them.
Tyler.
You don't ever have to call back. I wanted to get married. I've been married for going on 30 years.
Wow.
I've raised 3 great sons.
Wow.
If you don't like how I run the program, don't be a fan. I don't care. But I'm the head coach, and I'm going to do what I believe is right for the long term of this program. What's best for the players, and what I think is best for the moment. If you got a problem with that, that's fine.
That's fine.
I'm not going to sit here and let you call. I don't give a crap how much money I make. You ain't going to talk to me like I'm 12 years old. You'd be freaking kidding me.
Amen.
Amen. Let's get back to football.
Yeah, the Church of Dabo. Amen. I mean,
the first next caller should have been like, Coach, how many 10-minute seasons have we had?
I wanted to have a wife, so I got married.
I wanted to be a dad,
so I had kids.
I wanted to be a college graduate, so I got 2 degrees.
Tyler. That was a full-time.
That is a melt mode.
That's a melt.
Damn, it's going bad up there, huh?
I mean, the walls are closed.
I've never failed at anything in my life.
Spurrier did say it best, I thought, though. He said when you can't celebrate the wins anymore, you've probably been there too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like you've turned it into this
factory.
Yeah, where just nothing's fun anymore, right?
That ain't good enough.
Right, it's not good enough. And I don't know if that is what Clemson feels. I'd imagine that people are probably hungover on Dabo. Like Tyler from Spartanburg sounded like he was just like, yo, Dabs, I don't care how many 10-win seasons we got. You know what I mean?
I'm tired of you.
You're making way too much money for this.
Because every time you get in front of a microphone, it's something like that.
Always.
Where, like, Tyler from Spartan, yes.
Like, Coach, we get it, man. You're 15 years into the gig, and you're still telling me your resume? You're still telling me and qualifying yourself for the job?
Because you feel fake.
You did that a long time ago. Really, I mean, like, for me. But now you're kicking up this shade where you're like, is he right for this? I mean, it doesn't feel like you're built to get this thing back on track. I mean, and in a day and age where you have to adapt. It's not the job that he took 15 years ago where you could really steer kids in one direction, and once you got them to campus, it was tough for them to leave. Now it's very easy for a player to be one place today and another place tonight. And that's just, it sucks for some people. They don't like the rules. They don't like how it's transgressed. They don't like how it's developed, but that's what it is. Like Jay Johnson sat here last Thursday. We asked him, like, what's it like been adapting to the NIL and the transfer? He's like, I don't know.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah, right. It's just the rules. It's what we play by. They give me the rule book. They tell me what we can do. I have a feeling about them, but I just go try and get the best players dealing with the rules.
And that's where Dabo has lost.
He's lost it.
He put his personal feelings about how the new rules are constructed in the way of making the program better.
And say, like, we don't take transfers, like, that's so
asinine.
Dumb. Like, so
short-sighted.
I can't find. I'm sorry for not finding a better, but it's just it's stupid. It's in a day and age where like Keon Coleman was in the transfer portal when you said that. Like, you don't want Keon Coleman on your team?
Blitz Clemson.
I mean,
Clemson dirty.
Just, like, that is, even if you do feel like that,
keep it to yourself.
Don't say it out loud. Don't put that stuff in the streets.
Can't help himself.
No,
Right,
he can't.
That's
what it
the
is.
problem.
Little old Clemson.
That's the problem.
I mean,
and really,
look at the guy. He can't help himself.
It's a Dabo show.
He can't help
look at this
himself.
guy.
Look at his face running down
Like
the hill.
the team ain't even out the
knows,
tunnel yet.
Like he thinks like he's like, hurry up.
Like he's about to play.
Look at his face. He's holding his breath. He's, I'm a pop. I'm a
Yeah.
pop. I'm a pop. I'm waiting for a hammy to go one time, coach.
Pants pop.
He's going to be like Vince McMahon in the ring. Double quads.
I mean, to almost to a degree, I wish he would go somewhere and try and start a program again. Like he's like talking like, I'll go somewhere. All right, well, go to
Rutgers.
Go to Mississippi State.
Ooh.
Oh,
Go to
Arkansas.
Go to Arkansas. Right. Go to one of those places where you go to Florida.
I think you ain't gonna take no transfers.
I mean, like, go somewhere.
Your
like
shtick
that
only
where
works at Clemson.
That's it. That's it. That thing is made for a cartoon in Clemson, South Carolina. That thing's a bubble. You know what I mean? Like, you take him out of that bubble, and he'll be
exposed.
Like, I played in the SEC. You did not play in today's SEC.
We got that slide.
Like, you don't know what it's. I beat Alabama twice. Okay, congratulations. Like, those were really. That's when your stock was
through the roof.
At its highest.
It's been 5 years.
Did he beat Alabama, or was that
Deshaun Watson
and Hunter Renfrow, and then
he got him to Clemson? I'll give him his credit.
Yeah, he got him there, but
I'll give him his credit.
Trevor Lawrence and
Les
Travis
Miles got
Etienne.
Tyrann Mathieu, Eric Reed, all of them to campus.
Yeah.
I can't stand Les Miles, but he deserves credit for that 2011 national championship team.
Yeah.
You know, the one that made it to the game.
Yeah.
He also deserves credit for tripping over himself.
Yeah. He doesn't get too much credit for 2007, right? That's Nick's.
Yeah. Sneaks guy.
No, I don't give him any credit for 7. I mean, Les should send Nick a ring. Really?
Send him his check.
For his birthday today.
Happy birthday, Nick.
Happy birthday.
Oh,
Old Saint Nick.
Saban. Yeah, what is he, 72?
Yes.
72 years old.
His mom tells him every Halloween, I still don't know if you're a trick or a treat.
Also, happy birthday to the Billy Cannon famous run, one of the famous memories of an LSU football fan, an LSU football program.
Program?
Program?
I can win with Billy Cannon now.
It's my program.
National championship winning, Heisman Trophy winning, the moment that created for Billy Cannon, the kickoff and the punt return, the goal line stop, the goal line stand. A couple of plays later with him and Warren Rabb right in front of the Tiger student section in 1959. The referee who snuck in the game, I am convinced.
Runs the
Stewie,
10-2,
can we pull up the Billy
10-200?
Cannon? The October 31st, the Halloween night punt return in Tiger Stadium where Cannon
Halloween
fields
night.
the punt off the bounce, hits the sideline, and out of nowhere, a referee, if you are watching this thing, I mean, it's tough to keep your eyes off of Cannon, but for as many times as LSU fans has seen this highlight, I mean, I've probably seen this highlight thousands of times. You start to kind of look and start to pick out other people. Watch the referee on the sideline appear from nowhere and then put his head down and sprint. Even if he is a referee, he's not looking for any penalties in the game. He's like racing.
He's racing Billy Cannon. I'll tell you,
but there are also two other officials in the frame. I got to imagine in 1959, the officiating crew was no more than 4. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not these 8-man officiating crews in 59. So, like, let's play conservative here and call it that it was a 4-man crew. You got 3 of them in one frame.
Then one.
If this is the case, I think that there is a tale that this referee snuck into the game
on
and
Halloween.
Snuck in on Halloween as an official. Ends up on the sidelines, and then if you watch closely here, Cannon comes out of this scrum here, and you see the official running with him, and then it is like this guy is off.
On the field.
This guy is moving. Obviously, there's another official there. He's like celebrating with him.
Touchdown. If you run it back, you can see where he kind of enters the fray.
Right.
Which is, it feels like off the sidelines a bit.
Look at him. He kind of makes the turn.
So there's one right there.
Right, and like then he like comes onto the field, like watch him like kind of like
come out of nowhere,
hook into the field. He's kind of like, whoa.
Look at him. He's totally a fan,
I'm
dude.
telling you, dude, he comes out of the stands. Rewind it, Stewie.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, he like comes out of the stands.
He's out of the woodwork.
What a play!
And he got away with it.
A play definitely gets away with it.
Look there. That's an all-time move.
I mean, it's an incredible. And now look, he's like, look, I'm in it,
and I can go.
I'm in it. I'm in shape.
Go Billy, go Billy, go Billy, go Billy, go Billy.
Wait,
let's go,
wait, do y'all
Billy.
see the dude come off the side, like come off the sideline and just like,
Look at this guy. Give me that ball, Billy.
Yes, game's not over. Oh, go Billy, go Billy, go Billy. Nobody's around. Nobody's around you.
What a play, man.
You're in the free and
I feel like
clear.
that's a Culotta.
Yeah. Oh my God. Big Mike would have had a problem with you. We have to get him on. I'm gonna cut that clip and send it. I'm gonna tag him in it. See if he remembers any of your St. Pat. I feel like St. Patrick's Day you should get a pass. But the 3 months after
are you talking
that,
about Bonnet and the bus?
Yes.
He definitely remembers the bus.
Oh, shit.
No, like I still think I catch a glare.
I was about to say, I wonder why I get this side eye when I wear the Jordy
25-year
Culotta
bus
shirt.
glare. Like, don't think I hadn't forgot about that convertible
That
bus, you
damn
degenerate. You know, like, hey, can I get a one-on-one with Jaden Daniels this week, Mike? He's like,
what, on the bus?
yeah, right.
Yeah,
I'll get back to you.
Still got that drop top bus, Culotta.
Let me know when you get that bus out of the front yard. I'll let you know on Daniels.
Yeah, I'll give you 3 months.
Mike, it was Bo the whole time.
You just happened to see me.
I was in the bus, but I don't own
Yeah,
the bus.
right.
It was just as big a surprise to me as it was to
on the
you.
rent.
Just happened to be here.
Wasn't on the docket. It was T&E.
I wasn't on the contract.
Look, Mike, I've been telling him all day to get this bus out
I've
of here.
been telling him, Mike. Mike knows that, dude.
I got to go to class.
I was Team Bonnet.
I literally got on my knees and asked him to take the bus out
We
of
got
here.
to get this out of here
told me
for
no.
Bonnet, man.
Look,
The
the
guy's
man's
gonna
trying
be
to raise a
fast
family.
riser at LSU.
Yeah. Don't you fuck this
It
up
all
for me,
worked out.
guys.
It all worked out. It all worked. That's what I tell him now. Like, Mike, hey, no reason.
Look at us now.
Yeah, like, look at you now.
Who'd have
man.
thought? Me and
30
you.
years,
Who'd
4
have thought?
coaches later.
I wanted kids.
Mike is.
So I had 3.
Kids.
The book will be great for Bonnet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted kids. I didn't want Jordy as a kid.
Banned him from practice.
That's so. Oh,
Right
any
out of the
chance?
press conference. Yeah, any chance. Like, sorry, buddy. You're done.
Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
One more question on the DBs, coach.
Yeah. No, we're good here. Wrap it up.
Done. Catch the bus home, Culotta. All right, have a great Tuesday.
Tiger Trails.
We'll be back with you tomorrow morning. Jock will be here. Man, that Cecil Collins documentary, I think it's like at 80,000 hits on YouTube. I mean, it is all over the place. It's I love that, man. It's an awesome piece of video. It's an awesome piece of art from our friends Darren DeQuano and Jock.
80,000.
80,000? Wow. Make sure and check that out on YouTube. I think we told him like it would have 100,000 before next football season. That thing might have like
200.
They might have
a million.
Yeah, they might have a million. All right, so make sure and hit that like button, share button, comment button, subscribe if you have not already done so. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Compliments of our friends over at RMB.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time. It's the hottest show around, we ain't gotta flex. Call up G, we get it done, we earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in, where they going next. Throw up the L's, now we lit, band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live, mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy.